So we're 5 days out from Election Day,
Yeah.
right? And a couple weeks ago, it looked like Hillary Clinton was going to win in a landslide. Now, all of a sudden, it looks like Donald Trump could be the
Yeah.
next president of the United States. How do you feel about that?
You know, I'm a little bit concerned because I don't think that I've ever seen as much of a divisive campaign, as much pointed hatred. You know, you always knew it was there, but I mean, with social media, I think that it's become a place where it breeds anonymous hate.
Yeah.
And especially to, my daughter, she's 20. I mean, she's heard things in this campaign that, as for being a voter for the first time, it's shocking to me that, things that she shouldn't know, or maybe somebody in the family should have told her, she had to hear away from us.
Yeah.
So 5 days out, John, I'm very concerned. Listen, high voter turnout, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Low voter turnout, we'll have a problem, and that's usually the issue that hurts us the most. I think is we don't think that the vote is important. It's very important.
So when we met the other day for the first time at this baseball game in Chicago, I said to you, you're one of the most famous, well-known Hispanic entertainers in the country.
Right.
And I said, how much have people talk to you about Donald Trump? He's put Mexican Americans and Mexicans at the center of his campaign. And you said, I haven't really done very much. Not many people have asked me for my opinion. It seems strange to me that one of the things that there's been so much discussion about Latinos in this campaign, yet we don't hear that many Latino voices.
No, it's interesting. In 2008, Barack Obama specifically, personally reached out, and called me and asked me. He didn't know where I was politically, what my motives, my interests were, and he said, "Listen, if you don't mind, I would appreciate if you'd help me, secure a Latino base and the Latino vote." 12, he came back and did the same thing. I haven't heard from the Clinton campaign, and I have a powerful voice. My social media platform is high. People respect my opinion when I'm political. Some people don't agree with it, particularly this election, but it's definitely a voice that isn't as loud as it was in 8 and 12.
Yeah. You've changed it since I last looked on your Instagram account. For a while there, I liked the fact that your bio said that you said something like whipping out that Mexican thing every
Daily.
Single day. Right?
Yeah.
And you do.
I try to. Listen, I have been a have and a have not. And I've worked at every point of the 24 hours of the day. I've worked graveyard shift, I've worked in the mornings, I worked at night, swing shifts. And I see and I know what it takes to get up every morning and work hard for something. And I see companies prosper, but I don't see a middle class prosper, and I just see people who are poor remaining poor. And when I was growing up, you always felt like if you worked hard, you could make some progress. Yeah. I don't see the same avenue or road of progress that I did when I was when I was 20.
So let me. I'm going to read you a few things here that Donald Trump has either said or done that have some relationship to Mexicans or Mexican Americans.
All right, great.
And then I'm going to read them to you all real quick, and then we'll talk about it. All right.
Right.
This to me is the campaign and Trump's relationship with the Hispanic community. Okay.
Yeah.
Started out by saying that they're criminals and rapists. He kicked Jorge Ramos out of a news conference. He tweeted a taco bowl on Cinco de Mayo. Our producers ate one. They said it was disgusting. He said that Judge Gonzalo Curiel couldn't do his job because he was Mexican, even though he wasn't actually Mexican. He was born in Indiana.
Right.
He retweeted a comment about Jeb Bush where he said, quote, Jeb Bush has to like illegals because of his wife. And then in the last debate, he talked about bad hombres. So hearing all of that and watching Donald Trump's rise to become the Republican nominee, what did you think as all that played out?
Well, I from the get-go, from the elevator ride down to the Mexicans, criminals and rapists, which I put in my act, and I'm sure some of them are good people. The wall, as if we had never heard of the internet or an airplane, or tunnels that almost collapse the ground. But I'm not in favor of open borders, and I'm not in favor of demonizing an ethnic group. And it has been all of that. And you're right, we don't have the voice that comes out and says, this can't be done, this isn't right. Nobody risks, even the politicians wouldn't risk their base for us. So if we don't risk our own future on ourselves, then I don't think that economically we have a lot of power, but cohesively we're lagging way behind. And if it doesn't show up in this election because of everything that you just read, then we really got big problems.
Do you think if you think about all those things that Trump has said or done, is it to you is for a lot of people they just think he's a racist, right? So is Donald Trump a racist, you think, or no?
No, I just think he's a guy that has had a life of privilege. He's never had to really respond to anything or answer to anything. If somebody would question him, he probably got rid of him. So if you look at the way he's talked about women, he's talked about African Americans, he talked about people who were gay and especially Latinos. When you're up at the top of the Trump Tower, everything looks small to you. So I would say that, I wouldn't say, the R word is racist is thrown around with everything. They even tell me at the pound, like when you adopt pets, that the black ones are the last ones to go. Like, an animal shelter will say, they're the last ones to get picked. Like, okay, they can't be in pets too. So I just think that there's that guy who has been given everything that doesn't know what it's like to work for something that it's not even taking liberty with the language. That's just the way he talks.
Right. One of the reasons why I think you've been so successful and why you're such an exemplar of your community is that you're close to it still, right? You hang out with
absolutely.
I mean, you're not like living in Bel Air, right? You're a guy who's like, you're hanging out with your community. You're close to the community, close to your family. Trump says Mexicans love him. He says Hispanics love him. So what do you, among all the Hispanics is there a lot of love for Donald Trump?
There's not a lot of, I don't think we could agree even if we kidnapped him what to do with him. So I'm going to say we don't love him. And I'm going to say that there are, Latinos that are for Trump. There's one guy that's Latino for Trump. I saw one that said woman, like one woman, not women. Yeah. Woman for Trump. I saw that, there's just one woman. So I would say that I've never seen a political candidate mocked more and disrespected more than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I hope that those memes and unflattering pictures turn into votes.
Right. Well, you can find a lot of them on your Instagram account.
They're all over mine.
So, but again, here's my question. Like, you're from here. You grew up not that far from here. We didn't grow up very far apart from each other. Right. You grew up in Mission Hills, I think, right? Yep. So, one of the things about LA is there's obviously discrimination that's been here. There's racism that's been here. But when I grew up and when you grew up, Caucasians and Hispanics and other colors, and it's a fairly integrated city in the sense that like people get used to it being multicultural at least, right? It's not to say that there's not problems, but compared to very, very some parts of the country that are just snow white, this is a polyglot place, right? And where people are more or less comfortable with each other. Do you think and it's getting better slowly but surely? It's getting better, right? Is that fair?
I would say it's fair. Yeah, it's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better. So, what do you think it would say about the state of American acceptance and tolerance and multiculturalism if Donald Trump ends up president next Tuesday?
Listen, if he ends up president, I mean, from Melania being the first woman who, immigrated from another country, here's a guy that doesn't like immigrants unless they come with a sash and a bathing suit. He likes those, though. He likes those. Yeah. He likes contestants. Yeah. I wouldn't even say women. I didn't say he likes contestants. But it would. I mean, he wants to make America great. I'm thinking he's thinking the 40s, maybe the Roaring 20s. It would be a significant issue for, I would say, people of color. When you realize that 40+% are for him and 45+ are against him. Yeah. That's wars break out in families with that percentage. I'd hate to see what happens to this country.
So one thing that's true is that either he or Hillary Clinton's going to be president, almost certainly, and hopefully we'll know by late Tuesday night.
I hope so.
I hope it doesn't go on. This doesn't go on for months and months of challenges and recounts and all that kind of stuff. Just as a comedian, who would you rather have as president, just as a source for material?
Well, listen, I like to write jokes that I would hate to think that I would want Donald Trump to be president solely for material. No.
Yeah.
I think that, I wouldn't want anybody looking through my emails. If I knew how to bleach emails, I'm sure there'd be a lot I'd like to bleach myself. So, who knows what's in that? it has been a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And I hope that politics as usual meant things were a little bit boring. I don't think I wanted to have it get like this, mudslinging and everything that's going on. Cooperation on both party sides, cooperation people-wise, and cooperation just as a population in general, I think would be questionable.
You were a big supporter of Barack Obama.
I was.
Hillary Clinton, you're going to vote for her?
I am.
With enthusiasm?
No. I think the immigration problem is probably laid at the feet of Barack Obama because in 2008, we campaigned an album campaign based on, helping them create a pathway to citizenship. And in 8 it didn't happen, and in 12 he mentioned it and didn't do anything. So my only beef with him would be that, we were the deciding factor, maybe in 12, and didn't see, not that we were expecting a benefit from it, but this whole, I'm sure some of them are great people. We're going to build that wall, chance and all that. He's responsible for, I think, a large portion of that.
He, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah. His failure to
absolutely. And he's deported a lot of people. Like, people don't know that he's probably the president that's deported the most amount of people.
Yeah.
But criminals, yes, and people who are here working honestly, there has to be a way for them to be able to get on the path, at least to stay.
I want to ask you about Hillary again because you didn't really answer that question. But do you feel like regretful now that you supported Obama, given that he failed on the immigration
No, I wouldn't say
thing?
regretful. I mean, I made my choice. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't be. The Clinton campaign didn't reach out. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would be as enthusiastic for her as much as I'm enthusiastic for people to get out and vote.
Right.
I'm more concerned about raising the voter turnout than about voting or particularly campaigning for Hillary Clinton.
Right. So you're like a lot of Americans, right, who will vote for Hillary Clinton mostly because it's a vote against Trump rather than a vote for her.
Right.
Right.
I would do that. I would say that.
Yeah. You were a big Sanders backer, right? Or you like Bernie Sanders?
I liked him. I liked the energy that he brought. I liked the fact that I wasn't just going with Hillary Clinton like I thought. I wasn't sure how far Bernie was going to get.
Yeah.
But I liked the enthusiasm that he brought. And at that particular time, I supported him. I'm not sure if I could pay more taxes and still have ends meet. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
But jokingly, the socialist movement wouldn't particularly help me. So,
but you like the free college thing.
I like the free college thing.
You like the legalizing weed thing.
I like the weed thing, of course. And also I like the enthusiasm that he brought to young people, which politics, especially in this race, is it's highly fractured. People think they don't matter.
Yeah. Let me ask you one last question, which is on the two tickets, we have one candidate, Tim Kaine.
Yeah.
Who whips out that Mexican thing all the time.
Never.
He's constantly speaking Spanish.
Man.
What do you think about that?
You couldn't order at Chipotle with that Spanish. You'd have to just order by numbers. That's not. It might be Spanish to him. It's not Spanish to us.
All right. Okay. This is a man who George Lopez, man, speaking his heart and telling the truth.
I'm trying to tell the truth.
You're about as much like the average American as Donald Trump is, in the sense that you have a pretty good life right now, and yet the way you're looking at this election though is like the way a lot of Americans are, which is really not liking Donald Trump, kind of holding your nose and voting for Hillary Clinton,
right,
and just kind of praying that maybe we get through this whole thing and it turns out okay.
Yeah, I would say if it was a party, I might hang around because there might be a fight toward the end.
All right, that's great.